Call this meeting of the Paintsville Utilities Commission to order. Do roll call. Mitch?
Here.
LB?
Here.
Tricia?
Here.
Tim? Review and approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Review and approval of the operating report. Bob?
Nothing extraordinary.
Motion to approve the operating report.
Motion, we have a second. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Consideration of construction pay requests and change orders.
I have two. Bill Engineering invoice 190791 in the amount of $1,827 to be funded by KIA.
Motion to pay Bill Engineering $1,827 funded by KIA.
Have a motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
And Thomas Environmental invoice 21 for the corrected amount of $130,772.60 be funded by USDA/Paintsville Utilities.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 5, review and approval of the monthly invoices. 5A, legal services.
I'll make the motion to approve the invoices for working shed all workers.
Second.
A motion second. All in favor, aye?
That is if he gets in touch with my mom next meeting.
5B, other operating invoices.
Make a motion to pay the rest of the invoices.
I'll second.
A motion second. All in favor, aye? Opposed? Ayes have it. 6, the departmental reports.
Who understands the GE report? Anybody?
Yep.
Man, with the GE, I read that stuff, and I didn't understand it.
That's why he's here.
You're talking about the proposal?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to him a little bit.
Any guys, anything to add to your month's report?
I thought that was part of the departmental report. That's what he had in his report.
I had some repairs.
Yeah, he had repairs in there.
That was
I
repairs.
thought that led right into it.
On your report on the leaves trail report, is it just the leaves that's causing the issues, or is there more?
That's just some issues we're having right now, but I mean, the plant's way undersized for what's there. And it's, you know, it's got a lot of rust places in it, metal separation. It's pretty rough shape.
Well, we talked about it last time, about him not being able to add to it or
Yeah,
anything.
we can touch with him on that.
Until we get Bob, we'll be doing conversation about what's happening up there. Seven, old business. 7A, the downtown I&I. Did we close that out last time he was here? I thought we said that we were done with that project.
There's a couple little details to get worked out. I think they had a family thing out of town, probably not back from yet.
What about the thing with the community, with the college? And the II project, and they can
We'll talk later on that as well.
So we're just gonna, do we have to have motion to lay that over till next month since he's not here?
Just no discussion for now on that.
Okay. 7B, wastewater treatment plant flow monitoring project.
Yeah, that's, right now, we're waiting for the replacement influent meter to arrive. Once it does, Goggins subcontractor will get that installed, and we'll go through that final punch list on the electrical
Yeah.
side.
Is there a projected date when that'll come in?
Have you heard anything, Mike? There
Somebody told me it'd be our first year.
it was extremely long lead time, and Phil was trying to work through it so he could get it expedited, and I've not heard anything lately on that.
Okay. 7C, the water system improvements.
We continue to work on property acquisition for that project.
7D, the Powell District Sewer Extension.
A lot of effort from a few people, especially the guy on my right here. We do have all the easements in hand. And now we can move on through our checklist, the rural development checklist. David has put in a lot of work the last few days on that, and we're just about there.
What kind of the holdout?
Pardon?
What kind of the one holdout there on that private drive?
Oh, came over?
Yeah.
Yes,
Started on the 18th. That's the 27th.
7E, other ongoing projects.
that is a state-funded project, working with the county. They have open bids on that. I've not heard anything on a contract date on it yet. They're working on it. That's progress.
What does it mean by those two companies are working to reconcile the bid? What's that mean?
Not unusual, the bids came in higher than the estimate. So we're trying to reconcile the amounts, see if there's adjustments to be made. And I guess try to find more funding.
So it's more than what they had set up for?
We thought there was more money there than that, but it is more than what they said the estimates were. That's not our project.
So if it was, well, I mean, I guess we don't have no say on it, but, so they don't, if it's over so much, they don't reject it, get another bid on it then, and go not there, they just want to give it to them anyway?
We don't know. We're not really in the loop on this, maybe what I had.
Okay.
8, new business. 8A, the audit report.
Yeah, ready?
It's fast. I don't know if you brought your audit reports from you, that you had in your packet. If not, I've got another copy here. Teachers, no.
I'll let you downstairs from the truck, they didn't audit. They'll be when they get chunky.
Thank you.
Well, I just completed your June 30, 2019 audit, and again, I thank you all for allowing Wells and Company to do the audit for the city utilities this year. I'll go over this briefly. I know, and I promise I'll try not to throw a bunch of numbers and just confuse. I'll just hit the high points. Sometimes I get going and I just throw numbers all over the place and confuse everybody. But anyway, the audit itself, the auditor's report on page 3, which if you looked at this year, it's a pretty standard report. It's the same as it is every year. It's an unmodified opinion, which means it's a clean report for the city, that the financials in this audit report present the financial position of the Paintsville Utilities Commission fairly as of June 30, 2019. And that was my opinion doing the audit. But anyway, that's the gist of what this auditor's report is, so I won't go any more on that. Quickly on the numbers, I'll go over on page 3, this is your statement of net position. Really, there was no large fluctuations in numbers this year as far as your financial position and so forth, so nothing that came to my attention that really needed to be brought to your attention as far as, a certain line item or so forth. Well, there might be something, I'll explain that in a minute. But anyway, your total assets at June 30, 2019 were $89,167,617, and that was up about $1 million from the prior year. Of course, you had a continuation working on the project, I&I projects and so forth like that. And your deferred outflows of resources, those all pertain to your pensions and your other post-employment benefits. That was $1,190,000. And of course, you can see the, of $89 million total assets, your capital assets, water plant, all your utility plant and stuff is almost $82 million of that. On page 4, you'll see your total liabilities and your net position. The Paintsville Utilities had total liabilities of $34,437,852 at June 30, 2019. Of course, most of that is bonds payable. They make up $17,287,500. Notes payable make $10,461,081. I just want to emphasize something up here on your current liabilities. You'll see your current liabilities are $4,566,000. These are liabilities that they're going to be prepaid or repaid within the 1 year time, 1 year between now and June 30, 2020. But one thing to note on that current portion of long-term liabilities at $3.7 million, that includes $3.3 million of the Citizens Bank loan on the Army Corps of Engineer loan that you have there. So that's talking about that's going to be refinanced this year. So that's not something that you're actually going to have to pull that money out of your current assets and actually pay all that. You're going to get, it's going to be refinanced and put on another loan. Your net position at the end of the year was $55,550,427. That's after your assets minus your liabilities. On page 5, this is your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. Your total operating revenues for the year were $8,824,262. They were up about 1.8% from the prior year. Operating expenses were $8,219,228. They were up about 2.6%. And I was talking to Bob on that. I was looking at some line items there. Repairs and maintenance and some materials and supplies, they were up a little bit. Depreciation was up a little bit. Talking with Bob, we had the flood back in February and had some expenses and stuff going on there pertaining to that. And just curiously, I know consumer price index last year, I think it was about 1.9%, Bob. I was just kind of curious. I went out there and looked today, year to date through September, that CPI is already at about 1.7% for the year, this year. So you can see where your expenses are going up. CPI this year is probably going up, I'd say by the end of December. It's going to, I would expect it to be about that same percentage. So if you're looking at your rates for next year, that's probably what you can expect. Statement of cash flows on page 6. I'm sorry, did I finish everything there? All right, back to page 5, I'm sorry. Your operating loss, you had operating loss from utility operating loss. It was $211,943. That was down from $32,473 loss prior year. But again, like I said, depreciation up. You had some more expenses in repairs and maintenance and materials. After your interest income, interest expenses, your other non-operating revenues and expenses, $468,087, which was the net amount. The contributions to native construction on the grants for the I-9 project was most of that was the I-9 project, $1,964,621, and then your contributions of services to the city of Paintsville. You actually had an increase in your net position of your $1,218,457. And that goes, your last year's net position was $54,331,970. You can see that goes back to your ending net position for this year that I mentioned previously on page 4, of $55 million.
You know what all the contributions to the city entails?
It's water service.
Just water?
Utilities.
Utility services. Yeah.
Isn't that higher than that though? Wasn't it more than that?
It has been.
Yeah. On page 6, you'll see a statement of cash flows. And again, I go over this every year, but the most important number that I'd like to stress on this is about a third of the way down. You'll see the net cash provided by operating activities. And last year, that was $2,456,952, which is right in the ballpark where it's been the last several years. And what's the significance of that number is that's what's used to pay for your principal payments on your debts and your interest payments and so forth. And also any capital improvements that you need to do that's coming out of your own pocket and so forth, if you don't have to dip into your cash reserves and so forth. But anyway, like I said, cash provided $2,456,952. This is after payments received from customers, less the employee salaries and benefits and payments to suppliers for goods and services. And that's an actual cash number. This coming year, and to kind of show you, your total cash requirements for water, for principal and interest, is going to be $1.4 million. I'm sorry, $1.2 million, but you're going to have to refinance the loan with Citizens or with somewhere else, or with Citizens, wherever you do it. In that prior year, your principal and interest on that was about $224,000. So if you added that to the next year's how much, and kind of assume it's going to be about the same amount, your total cash requirements for principal and interest is going to be 1.4. You generated 2.4, so you got $1 million left for operating cash that was used either put back in your cash reserves or used for your capital expenses and so forth. So you're in good position right there, good condition. If you look down on the very bottom, after all your financing activities and so forth, you'll see that the utilities actually had a decrease in cash of $438,459 from the prior year. But as I was discussing with Bob, you paid $500,000 on that one loan I was talking about, that's Citizens. You made a prepayment on the $500,000, which wasn't actually required. So if it wasn't for the $500,000, you would actually had a positive increase in cash last year of roughly about $62,000. So that's pretty much it for the financials. As far as nothing came to my attention during the audit that really needed to be brought to your attention, the one note in here that I always have in there about segregation of duties, that's in there every year. I reviewed, again, I know I always tell you, or I'll tell you, I reviewed the water billings for city officials, employees of the commission and so forth. Everything's up to date, no issues there. One other thing I will tell you, your debt service coverage ratio, I think I mentioned this, it's on page 13, it's in your notes. On your bonds and so forth, they require you to have a 1.2 times debt coverage ratio, and it was 1.49 this year, so it was above what was required per the bond covenants. This report also shows the federal money that was spent on the I&I project, and there's about $2.8 million spent there. You can see on page 48, that's the total federal money that was spent last year. Everything, after reviewing that and testing the invoices, reviewed all the invoices, 100% of the expenses and so forth. Nothing came to my attention that you brought to your attention. So everything looked fine as far as the federal grant expenditures. That's pretty much it. Like I said, there was no big fluctuations. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
How much is it? 4.2. What's the town?
What's that, 500,000?
Oh yeah, you're talking about cash.
Yeah.
You told that was the total cash that you had.
What's the difference in this right here? You got this one, and this one.
This one here,
This one and this.
that number right there reconciles back to that number. That shows you the operating cash, where it came from. That just shows you the changes in these.
Where does it show our cash reserve?
That's your total cash, 3.9 million, that you had June 30, 2019.
Right there.
What page you on
Page
Page
six.
six.
Page 7.
That'd be this.
there? Just get that answer.
And this is what we started with, this is what we ended with.
And this is about 500,000 for citizens.
Yeah, they got a better answer.
Yeah,
Now,
Page-
this is restricted. Can't touch it.
page 7 will show you the breakdown between restricted and unrestricted. So you see 3.9 right there, unrestricted is 2 million, and restricted is 1 million. That's another thing I was gonna say, all your reserves are fully funded, so, you know, that's. case there. So if that's it, that's all I have. And I just thank you for your time and allowing me to perform the audit this year.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we have a motion to accept the audit report.
Motion to accept the audit report.
All in favor, aye? Opposed? Okay. 8B, the membrane proposal.
Yeah, y'all know we've had a lot of issues with the plant, water plant. Haven't been able to define why. We all have some theories as to why we've had so much trouble. We've replaced 3 of the 4 trains. We have a proposal to replace the 4th train. We also have a proposal which you have in front of you, which is a 10-year plan for a complete replacement of all 4 going forward. I think we've all found that a little confusing.
Well, how much is it work from the very beginning, and how much is under warranty? I mean, it seems like we've had a problem from day one, it seems like.
Pretty much.
So, I mean, we need to do something different, or, I don't understand why we keep petty caking around if we can't make it work.
Now, we've replaced the 3, and those are working well. So it was an issue with that original set,
But what I'm saying is, we've been replacing ever since I can remember.
pretty much since we've been there.
Yeah. And then we get a report here that wants to charge us $90,000 for something that should have been fixed a long time ago. I would think.
Well, I know
That's just an opinion.
Understood, completely understood. There's been a lot of challenges and no question. And the first 3 trains that we replaced are actually doing very well. I think, Matt, you were saying, I think train 1, the first one that it hadn't been looked at in almost a year, I think.
I guess what I'm saying is why can't we get it to make it work to start with, and then go back, and if we do something, then we would pay you money, but I mean, you're just wanting, I don't understand why you can't, first of all, before you want money, is to make it work.
Understood. And when we replaced the first 3 trains, we reduced the price and got the price down significantly to try and at least acknowledge that we didn't have a good answer as to why the first set of membranes in these trains were performing the way they were. So we stood behind the warranty on those, and the replacements have been doing really well. It's train 2, which is the last one, that's been the real struggle of late. And it has ones in there that should have gotten out a while ago when we were doing replacements in the plant before. Because some of the membranes were doing really well, it's just there were a number scattered throughout the plant that had high repair work, and a lot of labor, and pulling cassettes and doing all that work. So ultimately, that's what was dragging the plant down. And now with this last train, it's the one that's occupying most of the time of the guys at the plant for repair work and other things going on in terms of mechanical issues with that train. The other 3 trains, they're performing as we would expect them to. So we weren't sure exactly what went on with this first set of membranes. We don't know if it was, we don't think it was because they sat for the first year. We don't think it was a mechanical issue at the factory. We couldn't find any smoking guns. With a lot of analysis, a lot of site visits, and a lot of work, we just couldn't find a solution that was, or find out the reason why those failed, unfortunately. But
Would they not then covered by warranty, or, sounds like they were defective if you cannot find a problem?
well, we did give, because what part of what was included in the contract is is a guaranteed replacement price, which is the warranty price. So we used that for the calculation, and then we reduced that number down because we didn't know what the problem was to replace them under warranty. Because there's way it works is there's a price, and we charge beneficial uses are prorated over the 10-year warranty. So you get the amount of time that you haven't used the product, that's what we compensate for.
I guess my question is, with the way these things are, and the proposal we got here back when it was GE, and now it's another company now, this proposal, if I'm reading it right, was back in 2016. So some of this stuff in the proposal, have we already done these things and paid for them? Or should it be a newer, updated version of the proposal?
So I'm not sure I follow, which part's the 26?
It's in page 6.
On the pricing.
Oh, that's
So
just
it's
based,
talking about
that's to get back to that
May
guaranteed
16,
replacement price.
2017, it's got prices for this stuff, so it's like, if we're past these dates already, should this have been rewrote some other way, or somebody just forgot to rewrite it, or?
I'm not sure, that's an old proposal.
That's what I mean, this is what we were given, and I'm wondering if we've already done some of this work.
This is the one I got from June of this year.
And this is the one we were given.
That should go from June of this year.
August
August
2016.
That's why I wondered, is there one, we've already done a lot of this stuff, and is
Yes,
it
sir.
really a 9,000 or what?
Well, there's some changes on the, that was the subsidized pricing,
Right.
we're looking at reducing things because, again, we don't know, we didn't think it was mechanical, we didn't think it was operational, we didn't have a good reason to say why there was effect. So we were gonna take some of the pricing on our chin and, you know, for
Right,
the
well,
beneficial
see,
use.
you've got one, see, we don't have that for
Yes.
us to look at, try to review it. We got this old proposal, that just, because we.
I've got a couple of copies of this one right now, I don't know if that's enough for that
as
table.
long as I guess you and Matt have looked at all this stuff, and according to this proposal, and is it
Take
still
a-
the
take another copy.
$90,000?
Yeah, you have another page.
Oh, here, I'll give you one, I just write them down.
How many show me?
I mean, I know it's not been a lot of time to
Six.
replace them, and paid a bunch of money for this and that on trains, and I just, when I saw the dates, I thought something's not right on that word.
But basically, just to give you an update, the trains that were, the first train that was replaced was beginning of 2016, end of 2015, beginning of 2016. Another train was done the following year, and then the third train was done the year after that, and then last year nothing was done. And then this year it was hopefully gonna be the fourth train, the second, train 2. And the way that the other 3 trains are performing are pretty much exactly the way we would expect them to, as other plants in the state and down in Tennessee and Georgia have been running for years. So the permeabilities, the membrane pressures, everything is pretty much spot on. So we expect a lot longer membrane life out of these versus the previous.
Right. But I just, when I saw the dates, I was confused as far as.
Yeah, when we started in 2016, I was like, wait a minute.
Because the something's not right, and we get it fixed to that or something.
But, and just to explain, I know that folks were talking about how this was complicated, and it, yeah, 32 pages it is. But the intention of this 10-year proposal was to kind of make things as surprisingly simple, which was to provide you with an easy way to get membranes, level the pricing for 10 years, fix things for the duration, and give folks the flexibility to take trains either a year from now, or 10 years from now, or even later. If the membranes do perform well and you don't need them in the 10 years, you can take them after the agreement expires. And this would give you flexibility and price certainty. And also, we make it really easy. If you don't like what we're doing, you can fire us. And the termination agreement, the termination portion is very simple. Everybody gets made whole. Either we ship you product that you paid for, or you pay for what we've shipped, and you're done. So there's no pay a buyout year, there's no clauses, there's nothing. Everybody just gets made whole and you walk away.
So have you seen this, what he had? So
Yeah.
you just didn't.
And we actually talked about this in July.
I mean, we talked about all this stuff.
We had it in
This is
those
what
packets then.
I know, but we didn't have that proposal, did we?
Yeah, we did then. I don't know how we got this one this time.
Okay. That's why I was gonna bring up that date deal, my way to.
So what is the life of one of the trains?
what do we expect to get, or what are they getting right now?
Yeah, what
We expect at least 10 years is what we would consider normal.
And we've replaced 3 sets of them, correct? But
And-
1 set left.
And that set is now, is in its 9th year technically. I know the first year it didn't run.
So, because I'm a little slow at this, so I have to ask you at a slow pace. How much does it cost if we just buy a set? Just to write the check and buy one, how much is that?
$750.
Yeah,
156, that's delivered, installed, everything, 156,000.
yeah. $156,000, we expect that we could get potentially 10 years out of it. How much is the contract price?
The contract price now, just to clarify there, the contract price includes services and everything, so it's not just the membranes.
Right.
The membrane portion is about 750,000 for the membranes for 10 years. And then there's additional services, site visits, Insight, which we already have and you get every year, and an annual site visit. We included all the different things there. Again, that levels the price for 10 years. There's no price changes, no increases or anything. That makes it 1.289 million for everything. But that's, membranes are 750 and the extra stuff is the other 500,000.
So the membranes are
156 is a discounted price, is that correct?
That's basically, in your original contract that you bought the plant under, it came with a guaranteed replacement price, and that expires October 2021. And that price is based on using that, it's basically half the price of our regular price of a membrane.
So between now and 2021, we could buy the last train for that price. So
Correct.
But I used that price in the deal for the first 2 trains.
I'm just trying to figure out in my brain, if I can buy a train and supposedly it has a lifespan of 10 years, why would I want to do $1.2 million over 10 years? What's the benefit to the utilities for that?
The benefit is that, well, it's a bit of a forced savings, yes. But what it does is it, again, levels the price, locks it in. If there's any changes in the pricing on our side for labor or materials and that stuff in the next decade, you're insulated from that. If we change our price of our Insight service and things, which we do every 4 or 5 years, you're insulated from that. It's locked in, it's fixed. And then if you get to the end of 10 years and you haven't needed membranes, that's a great thing. All we would do is then, you can take delivery of them later. The payments stop, and then you would just take delivery later when you need them.
Okay, now, let's clarify. 156,000
For
the
one
next-
train right now.
But then you priced another one at 156, is that correct?
Yes, I used that same number for the second train. Now it's scheduled at 2021 for delivery, that's all tentative.
That's
You can take delivery
when
whenever you
Bob
want.
had this conversation.
Just got to do with that.
So
That's what this is.
right
That's
now,
what's- this
the
is the
trains
10-year
that we
proposal
have,
that
what
the
is the
one
oldest
proposed
age
that we
one?
But this is the old one, they're copying the new proposal now. Because the new 10-year proposal, if I understood it,
The
is a total of
trains that we've
$1.2 million.
replaced, we've replaced 3, so
But I can buy a
they're
train
10
for
years life
155,000.
expectancy.
Yes.
And the
Well,
oldest
now,
one we
but
got
if
was
we
what,
took all the
4 years?
services out, that'll drop things by at least 250,000 from that number, and other, there's other things in that number that are another 500,000. So if you just look at the membranes and delivered, it's about 750,000 for membranes.
Okay, so what price are we factoring for the third and fourth one?
Basically, the unit price goes, it's in its rate in the proposal, but it goes from $794 a module, which we're using for the first 2 trains, which is your prorated guaranteed price. It goes to $1536, which is our commercial price for the other half of the plant. And you can take, it says 2021 for the expiry date of that thing, and we put the train delivery 2021, but you can take it, if you get to 10 years and you still haven't taken it, it's still.
Any place within the 10 years or even beyond?
Yes. Now, the proposal states that 2 years after the end of the agreement, you need to take the membranes, but here's the thing. We're in the business of wanting membranes to last as long as possible because, hey, it's a great reference, and if you get 15 years out of your membranes, we'd be stupid to tell somebody, you need to take your membranes right now. So they would just go on books. We put a 12-year time frame on here, so we put a pin on the calendar, but they're not going to disappear. They would just sit on the figurative shelf, and then when you need them, you would call us and tell us when you want a train, half a plant, or the whole plant. And that's part of the deal is that you'd have the flexibility to take membranes whenever you want, your 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or beyond, and one train at a time, or the whole plant, or whatever you want. It just depends on what you want to do. And like I said, again, if year 3 you decide this thing isn't working, you can terminate it and we deliver what you've been paid, or we put it on the books and you can take it later, or you pay us for what's been delivered. So there's no,
Here it is, it's in this.
there's no penalties.
I just remember,
Cancel.
Bob, we talked about this in June, that the overall 10-year
Yeah,
cost.
what you had in front of you was actually the contract for the first set of trains we replaced.
The extra one, James.
That's how I remember that last year. We talked about that.
So if you want, like, the way that they've structured these tables, it's not, they haven't slipped out the membranes, but basically, for just membrane cost, not installation, not delivery, not all this other stuff, just membranes, it's $128,500 for membranes today. And then under the proposal, just membranes for the whole plant, it's $755 to do 4 trains at those 2 unit prices. There's $257 and $497.
But if I remember right, it's to replace train number 4, that last section, all of them delivered and installed, is that 156,042.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I was breaking out all that other stuff that's underneath it, just to say, just the 162 membranes.
What did we pay for the last membrane that we bought?
It was right around 140,000, because it was, every year it goes up a little bit with the proration. First year was 90, the next one I think was 120, and then it was 140. And part of the problem was that the first year that we did the replacement was to replace all the bad ones across the plant, but they didn't all get taken out. Only one train did, instead of all the bad ones across the plant. That was part of the reason was there was a lot of extra work and labor to pull cassettes and take individual modules out of each train. So the decision was made by the plant manager at the time to just do one dedicated train, which meant that some of those bad ones were still in the other 3 trains that were supposed to come out. And when they're still there, it means guys are still doing fiber repairs and working on them, which is, you're still doing that on train 2.
Yeah.
So some of the, when we replaced a train, not all the membranes in that train were bad, but they did get tossed out. There were some bad ones and there were some good ones, and we wanted to keep the good ones, but we didn't. So that's where the pricing went up, because we couldn't give a warranty price on the same membranes again and again, but we did try to reduce it still.
So how much are you reducing the 4th train for?
The 4th train is at, it's at the guaranteed price at this point, because again, most of the ones again that we were supposed to be replacing by now were supposed to have been out. Because we identified, we went through the whole plant and identified which ones were the bad ones across all 4 trains, and we said, okay, we need to take all these ones out. And that's not what happened, but we gave a warranty on all those ones that stayed in there. So eventually we couldn't keep giving a reduced price. We were giving the warranty price, which is the guaranteed replacement price, and prorating it for the number of years of service. So we're still doing the warranty calculation. That's where the $750,000 module comes in. We're just not taking any more off of it like we did the first 2 trains.
Why not?
Because again, what happened was the ones that we warranted and gave that reduced price for stayed in the plant. They didn't get tossed. So once we warranted them, they were supposed to go. So we can't give a warranty on something we already gave a warranty on. It just, the problem was that they didn't get thrown out. They should have. Like, what should have happened is they should have pulled a cassette, taken the 8 or 10 or 20 modules out of the cassette, put the new ones in, done that across the whole plant to get them out. It's a pain in the butt. That's a lot of work. And it was decided at the time, no, we're just gonna do one whole train. So they threw out the good ones with the bad ones that were still, some of them didn't have any repairs at all. And we could have kept them. And we could have gotten rid of the problem ones. And now what Matt's having to deal with is the last train has got some membranes that are some of the ones that should have been thrown out 4 years ago.
Who made that decision?
Basically, when we came in and presented around that in terms, the decision not to put the,
Oh, the throw out the good with the bad.
well, that was, unfortunately Larry decided because we didn't want to have to lift cassettes and move stuff around, which it's hard to do up on top of that tank. He just decided to pull the train and do the cassettes on one train. And that was on Larry's decision at the time. And he and I talked about it, and it was part of the reason the price on the last train went up, was just, okay, well, we can't keep warranting membranes 2 and 3 times that were already reduced price to get them out of there, so they're not having to repair them still. So it was an unfortunate event, but part of it is just the way that up on top of the tank, working with the crane and the deck plates and things, it's hard to do that, admittedly.
It's hard and can be dangerous.
Yes.
How many repairs do we have to make to the last train that's still there this last month?
We've not worked on it in the last month.
How about the prior month?
I've got it wrote down, I'm gonna say maybe 20 leaks across all 3 cassettes. We fixed 40 leaks on one module.
Is there a different manufacturer that we can purchase from other than you all?
We have competitors, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no question. It's, what I would say is whoever you talk to, ask for references. And that's the first thing I'd ask for, references and size of plants and things like that. That's what I want to make sure. But, and again, part of the reason we want these, we look at these 10-year deals is that we want to be here for the duration. Good, bad, or ugly, if there's problems, we're gonna be here, we're not gonna run away from them. And at the end of the day, if there's things that we need to deal with, we're gonna come in. And if there's things that you're not happy with, we wanna make ourselves accountable, that's why we make this thing easy to terminate. And if there's things you don't like, we can change it, take them out.
So again, I guess I'm gonna be the slow one here. At $156,000, I replaced them all. It's not $1.2 million.
It is for the on-site installation.
Yeah, but isn't the $156,042 count transportation and installation for that?
Now, how much is the inside program? per
The inside
year?
program, well, all the services in total for the 10 years is about $250,000. So you take that out of the 1.289,
So if
you're
you
down to $1 million.
probably had $1 million is the actual membrane replacement. The rest of it's a service we pay for anyway on an annual basis, so that kind of factors out about the same.
And if you look at the first in the total price column under option 2, it says $755,000. That's the total price for just membranes. And then if you add in the shipping and other things, it's probably another $100,000, so you're looking at $855. Would be kind of the number you'd be looking at for membranes and installation and delivery and all that good stuff. And with this, we also, one of the things that we would do as part of the work to do the new membranes, it hasn't been done to date because it hasn't been needed, but as you get to 10 years, plastics, rubber, fasteners, all that stuff starts to wear and tear and degrade. So we replace all of that stuff, make them new again with the new membranes. So we kind of refresh the whole, everything in the tank. So that gets done as well as part of that price.
Say we replace one right now, and we don't have to replace one for another 5 years. In 5 years, what's it cost per train?
Well, in terms of, if you just do one train now for the 156?
Right.
Well, the price here, like if our pricing doesn't, let's say our material costs don't change, labor doesn't, nothing, it really is just gonna be inflation on this, but we don't know if things go up, the price of stainless steel, the price of our PVDF for the membranes, anything else goes up, all of that stuff changes the pricing. This insulates you from any of that increase, and it also, we built in 0.5% of inflation onto this, so this is a level price, no changes whatsoever. So economic pressures aside, this would level the thing for the duration. So if you wait 5 years, who knows what it does, but it might come up 2 or 3 or 4 or 5%, I don't know.
My vote is we just buy them as we need them. And I'm not sure we don't need to shop around and find a different manufacturer. It's been nothing but a headache since we put that in out there.
Are these new trains being put in or the refurbished? New, because I know when this, on a 10-year plan, they've got like refurbished cassettes.
Yeah, that's just refurbishing the plastics. That's where we replace all the stuff that degrades with the chemical exposure and temperature over time. So we just make those all new. They're all new parts. We just refurbish the cassettes to put new parts on. I think if you had Train 2 out of the mix in terms of the problems it's been causing, you'd have a very different I think time investment and labor costs associated, and cleaning costs and all of these things associated with that train I think the dynamics of the plant would be very different.
So you said the first train was replaced in 2016, correct?
Late 2015, early 2016.
Or in 2016?
So we're heading to our 4th year.
So on a 10-year plan, you're looking at one that's about 67 years left on it.
Yep. At least, I would think, we've had plants, we've got Duck River down in Tullahoma, Tennessee, they went 13 years. We've got a different membrane over in Jamestown, here in Kentucky, and they're running their membranes, they're into their 14th year. Some of the membranes are 16 years old. Different style, same material, but, getting a longer life of membranes is entirely doable. And I think the trend that you're seeing on the other 3 trains is very positive.
Okay, so if 10-year, I just want to make sure I understand completely. I'm going to be like Jimmy, I'm a little slow on this. So on the 10-year expectancy, our oldest train still has about 6 years to 7 years left on it.
The oldest train is almost at 9 years technically. 2011 is when they went in, 2012, 2013 is when they've been running since, so they're about 7 or 8 years in now. On the second, if we're talking train 2, the oldest train, that's the one that hasn't been replaced.
Okay, we're
That's
talking
where we
about that
started
one
the meeting
that we
with.
replaced, the
Okay.
first train that was replaced
Yep.
was in 2016.
Yes.
So you got 67 years left on that one.
Mhm.
The second train was replaced in 2017.
Mhm.
So you got about
8 years.
8 years left on that one. Replaced one last year, that's 9 years, left on 10. And replacing another one now, so you're starting a whole 10 year.
Mhm.
So all of these should last pretty much through on what the agreement for a 10-year agreement would be, except for maybe 1 or 2,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah, and this agreement would then mean at the end of that expiry of, ideally, if those membranes get to 10 years, you've got a full set ready. If the membranes go past 10 years, you have a full set on the books available when you need them later, and the payments would stop, and really up to you guys.
These wouldn't be put on the shelf until we needed them, wouldn't they? They'd be just.
Figuratively, like a warehouse has them on the shelf, but just, they'd be available for you to call and say, basically, we have a dedicated project manager for these services. You call them up and say, we want a train next month or in October, January, or whenever you want them, and we just deliver them, have a guy show up and help install them.
Well, I mean,
It would be set aside for us.
Yes, no. There's a,
anywhere it was manufactured
Yes.
recently, that's what would be.
yes, our inventory gets turned over pretty quickly. Like, for example, if you buy once, like if you sign, this is the other thing about this agreement, if you signed this agreement today, just for example, and you wanted to train a membrane, we could have them here in about 2 weeks or before the end of the year, if you, just whenever you need them. We've got them in stock currently. But the other thing is that you'd be able to get a train this year, and it'd be the 128,900, and you get a train right now. So you get it for the initial outlay, it's smaller. Obviously, you're paying 9 other payments, but you're also getting 3 more trains and all the services and other things. But you wouldn't pay the 156.
Well, yeah.
So it'd be a lower capital expense.
We don't have to make a decision not to buy. We can table it and go on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no intention in that here. I just was giving you an example if you,
Oh, yeah.
when you need them.
Yeah.
I priced this out so that, I did it in June, but we sort of estimated for inflation and said, okay, an October start date, just in case it was something you guys wanted to do this year. But we can make the changes and update it, whatever you need, whatever you want to see. You can take out services if you want it to be scoped. We can do any number of things, depending on what you want to see or don't want to see.
How long is option 1 good for?
That was through 2021.
In terms of the pricing that's on there now, it's good. Just let me double check that. The calculation is on. We do a CPI adjustment. We used October, so it's only off by 1 month in terms of what we estimated. So I'd honor it for this month, and if we needed to go into the new year, I'd just have to do a CPI adjustment. It might be 0.5%. It just depends on what the Department of Labor CPI factor is, but it'd be pretty small. If it was a big deal, I'd just lock it in.
And then down in your option 2, the difference in pricing there is because of a guaranteed price for those first couple of trains and then it jumps up. Goes from $800 to $1,500 a train.
Yeah, it goes
So the
to
membrane-
$1,500 a membrane because the commercial price kicks in after the expiry of the GMRP in October 2021. So that's the contractual price there. So that's the change there. And then all the other prices, obviously, the frames and parts and warranty and the on-site work, and then the service agreement is the big chunk that's tacked on.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to see it as without services, you're gonna be closer to 1 million.
I mean, currently right now, say another company comes to you and says, we need to buy these trains, what do they currently go for? Just
That's the commercial price.
the 800.
Typically, it's around 1,536.
So right now, if somebody else walked in and tried to buy one, y'all could sell it for $1,500 each.
We have, if somebody just walked in and we didn't have a
Well, I
customer,
mean, if
that
they were
commercial
your
price is.
customer and they come to you and say, we're shopping around, we're needing to buy some of these trains, so how much would you all probably sell them for?
Well, if it's an existing customer, that the 1,536 is their customer price. We have an MSRP, which is more like $2,000, but that's again a
Right.
catalog price. If somebody was just shopping around, that's what they wanted to see. But if somebody as a customer approached me, the $1,500.36 is generally what I would provide.
But until 2021, according to our previous forms we signed off on, we're gonna get it for basically $800 each.
Yes.
Then it jumps to what your all's current MSRP is $1,600.
Yes. And that's, now, can I do something around that? I probably could. I've been messaging with my boss to see if there's something we could do on that, because that's a big jump. And I'm not a big fan of seeing that kind of thing, so if there's something you want to see in terms of an updated price that could factor something like that in, I can get that.
Well, I'm just trying to,
Just understand the numbers.
trying to understand the numbers and where they're coming from.
I'd say you better put your best deal forward.
Yep.
That's what I'd say. I make a motion that we table this and under further review.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Great, thank you for coming. We've traveled a long way today.
No, I appreciate time. Thank you for taking it.
8C, surplus vehicles.
Just have two vehicles, they're listed, we'd like to surplus when the new ones come in. This should be this month or next. The 2002 GMC Dually and 2012 Silverado 1500. The details on the sheet there.
Does the city have any interest in either one of those?
Possibly, one of them, I think it would be the other. What I would suggest at this point, to go ahead and declare them surplus, but to determine disposition at a later date.
But we want to try to see if the city has a use for them.
Do them the first option. See what you say.
We would have a discussion with them and then have some discussion with some of you all too. So.
I'll make a motion that we place the two vehicles, T943 and T915, as surplus vehicles.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
And we would also like to surplus the 1992 Case 580 backhoe with surplus. It's pretty well done what it's going to do.
Make a motion to surplus the backhoe.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. 8D, other new business.
Should do it for now.
You said,
Should do it.
okay. Do we need to motion to go into executive session?
We have executive session, potential litigation.
Do we have a motion?
I make the motion.
Second? All in favor? Thank you, everyone, we're going to executive session.
Also,
Do we have a motion to come out of executive session?
motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
And so far as report, the commission was updated on 3 issues involving potential litigation. Bob and I were given directives on how to proceed on those. No other action was taken.
We have a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor? We are adjourned.
Boys, don't smoke anything.
All right.